Hey, what is going on, everybody? Boilon here, back for another event video here on Marvel Strike Force. Today, we're going to be talking about the Quack-Fu event that's going to be starting on Monday, which is going to reward more Howard the Duck shards. We're also going to be kickstarting the month-long of April, which is going to be called the X-Men and Space, I think, which is going to be rewarding Havoc. So both of the Starjammer new characters are going to be starting to get shards for them starting Monday. We're also going to be taking a look at the Crimson Storm Raid Milestone, Raid Alliance Milestone, which I don't think that they actually put a lot of thought into because it's actually super easy to clear the Chaos Raid section. Now, you guys may have seen my videos over the last couple of days regarding the Chaos Raids, and I think honestly it is that it's right there in the title. This has been a chaotic raid, and that's to say it mildly because there's still a lot of issues with it that I don't like. Maybe we'll talk about some of that. So let's boil this down. Now, before we get started with that, I do want to remind people about the Command Center Starlight Vigil event. Make sure that you're checking this, right? Like every day. You know, the Command Center, it's because you're not used to clicking there, so maybe you're going to miss some stuff. Right now, we have the Battle Festival going on, right? Maybe you're still doing this, but the daily, it's a pretty easy stuff, but just make sure that you're going in here and claiming this, right, every day. And then we have the Raid Frenzy event, which is still ongoing that you're doing dailies for. You know, again, you might be already somewhere around here. Just make sure you're checking that. And then on top of that, we're going to get a third one called Starlight Vigil, which is going to be using Showcase. I think this is basically replacing the Web Milestone because this is the kind of stuff that you would be already doing. You know, for the Web Milestone is the Showcase energy, right? So Vigilante Showcase energy, battle and raids with Vigilantes, upgrade Vigilante gear tier. Now, this one's interesting because I already took Punisher and Elektra to gear tier 19. So I really hope that that's not required to actually get this cleared. And then battling Cosmic Crucible with Lalandra, that shouldn't be problems. I don't like this part, mainly because we only have, or we will only have Punisher and Elektra. So what are we possibly supposed to do with those characters? You may be able to use them in the Spotlight initial nodes, which we're going to be talking about for this Quack-Fu event, because you're going to have to do that as well. But I don't know, maybe you could stick in Odin and Mephisto with Punisher and Elektra, and you might be able to clear those first nodes to get points if it's necessary to do this. We obviously don't know like how the point scoring works. Just make sure you keep that in mind because that is going to be important for the month-long milestone progress. More Mcron crystals if you need it, and some Havoc shards that are attached to that. So this is going to be really important to clear. I'm just skeptical about how much you need to do. Like, I don't know if any of this is actually required. Can we just spend this Vigilante Showcase energy to get it done? There's some stuff up in the air for that. Now, the Crimson Storm event, this is related to the Chaos Raids. You need to, score points in the Chaos Raids. We'll talk about that in the math. We're going to actually do this first, but I want to take a look at the chart for this because I want you to see exactly what we're going to be getting. It's going to be about 25 Havoc shards per week, which is kind of like Peggy Carter because I'm pretty sure that the Alliance events, the weekly Alliance events for when that was coming out, we were getting 25 Peggy Carter shards a week, which is pretty good. You'd eventually, it was just some slow drip, but it was still nice, that we were getting that. So I actually don't mind this structure. That's perfectly okay with me. And then you're going to get some monthly currency there. Now, as far as the rest of the stuff, this is typical for, I would say, typical Alliance milestone rewards. There is 100,000 X coins at the very end in milestone 19. Is purple 500,000 purple three ions. I don't know why I stuttered there a little bit. Yeah, it is purple 3. I think I just got sidetracked there. But in terms of the points, right, you're gonna get 300,000 maximum from your raid battles. There's limits, and then 175,000 from the Chaotic Storm raid nodes. But I just want to make it clear that this is super easy to do. We're gonna talk about the math on this. That I actually think that people are gonna get milestone 20 no problem. It's absolutely insane. So I want to pivot to that very quick before we talk about Quack-Fu, because we're going to start down here. So this is the Crimson. Yeah, ignore I didn't make it very pretty, but let's just go along anyways here. So the Crimson Storm milestone. My estimate for the Allied Supply Orb Fragment portion is going to be 72,000. This is at 500 on a free claim. Sometimes the free claims are 1,000 per person, per player in the Alliance, right? So that could be 72,000. could be 144k. If that's the case, if it's a 1,000 free claim, it's going to be even easier. The limit of 300,000, right, for playing the raid battles, that should be no problem. You know that you should be able to do that. And then the 175 from the chaotic raid milestones is super easy if you're running on D5. I just want to illustrate this like very, very quickly. So 175k, right? If you just do the tech section, which is the first on the left, and if everyone does that, you know, you're going to get, these are the amounts of points. Like, so even if you just clear one section, it doesn't have to be tech. If you just clear one section, both the first sections on each team, on both sides, you're going to get basically this amount of points, which is almost, you know, that 175k. That's 163,000 for daily points. And this is a weekly limit for 6 days. 175k for 6 days. So you need to get like 29,000 per day. That's it. But like, if you do this for 1 day, you're gonna cap this out in like, you're probably gonna cap this out in like 2 days maximum at 175,000 point list. That's the TLDR. Is that unless they change things or they nerf the points that they give for it or something, or they raise the total amount of milestone points that are needed by week 2 when this milestone comes back, don't worry about it because this is going to be super easy to do. I thought I was going to honestly have to math shit out. The funny thing actually is that the skill nodes actually give more. So if you are getting around to the skill nodes, they do give you more milestone points than all the other ones, but that's not even necessary because again, you're going to be hitting this limit like on day one, maybe for some people day one, but for everyone else probably absolutely day 2, day 3. So, you know, don't stress about it. Just do the chaos raids nodes that you can and you're probably going to max this out. We'll see if they change that for the second time around. Now, I do want to talk about the actual Quack-Fu table. So before we get into the math for that one, and there is going to be a total of, well, you can see 15, 35, 65, and 100 Howard shards. Now, I wasn't sure if you'd be able to get to this. Now, it should be pretty easy if you hoarded some energy. Now, I've been talking about hoarding campaign energy. You want to hoard around 1,000, which is not even a lot. 1,000 energy going into this event. Again, if you had watched any of my videos from basically like the data mines, when I did that from, I don't know, last Wednesday or Thursday, when I was maybe earlier when I was talking about this event, then you should be in a pretty good position in terms of the rewards. We're going to get pretty far, which is surprising. You know, normally you don't. Normally you get to like the event item and that's about it. But for this, you should be able to push a fair distance. And one thing that I do want to talk about when it comes to the point limits on Night Stalkers and Orcus using them in raids, again, you could do this in the Spotlight raid, like those beginner nodes. You could just put, and you only need to use one character. It's a 7-day event, but if you look at it, the points limits are 5 usages. So you could do this in 1 day with the full team, or you could do this with just a single character over 5 days. So if you had one Night Stalker character at 7 yellow, gear tier 19, you would just need to use them 5 times to get all of the points. And that's the same with Orcus as well. So 1 G19 Orcus at 7 yellow, you know, Lady Deathstrike or something like that, using them 5 times. And the Night Stalkers, 1 G19 7 yellow character, and use them 5 times, and you'll get all of this points. It's super bloated, and it's making you look like you need to do more, but really you don't. So I just wanted to kind of point that out early on before we jump to the math for Quack-Fu. So let's get started with that. Let's scroll back up to the top here. So Quack-Fu is a 7-day event requiring campaign energy spending and raids with Night Stalkers and Orcus. It is very easy. This event is very easy. 220,000 is the top Whalestone milestone 20. Free claims is probably going to be about 3,500, which is again 500 daily. That's usually the minimum metric for a free claim. If it's more, hallelujah. There's about 540,000 reasonable purple ions, and that's because it looks like we're going to be able to push a little bit further on the milestones this time around. You can get 100 Howard the Duck shards at 129,000 points. This is milestone 17. If you didn't hoard coming into this event, you might not get the 100 shards, but you will at the least get 65. And we've already had some Howard the Duck shards given to us anyway, so this is, for a lot of people, this could be like a 4-star Howard. So you should have him unlocked by now, I would think, anyways. So this is just more shards for him. Now you're going to get 4 points per campaign energy spent, which is a pretty reasonable amount of points given. That's normal, I guess, with orb fragments. What I don't like, I suppose, is that this is just flat points. You're not getting any orbs. There's nothing else bonus to open on the side. that part's a little bit disappointing. We went over all of this stuff, so I'm not going to repeat what I just said. But again, just make sure that you only actually need one character at G197 yellow, right? You could do this with a full team of them in one day, but otherwise you could just use one character, G197 yellow, and do it over 5 days. Again, you could just do it one Orcus character, one Night Stalker character, pair it with like Mephisto and Odin or whatever in the Spotlight raid initial nodes, and then you could just even do a sack attack. You could just go in and quit the node, and you will or lose battle, and you'll still get the points for that. So just make sure you do that, because if you're having issues using these characters in the chaos raids, know that you can still use it at the beginning on the Spotlight raid nodes before you progress that. So that'll be an easy way for you to get points that way. So make sure you're doing that. There's going to be 15,000 points for the paid. I don't know why I went like it's a paid orb, the paid Daredevil Modern orb. So there's that, and then your daily campaign energy, which is roughly around 1,100 per day. That is going to convert into about 4,400 points per day over 7 days, about 31,000 points. So the sky blue is everything that we're adding up for the reasonable totals. And so we get to the end. If you have, I don't even know why I said raid teams, but it's just like one character. You literally just need one character, G197 yellow. Anyways, if you have all that plus the energy, you're going to get about 124,000 points. This is just shy of milestone 17, which I believe requires 129. So you need 129 for milestone 17, which is going to give you those extra 35 Howard the Duck shards and 750 orange L4 training modules. So this is pretty good, especially if you're requiring, if you're in the dumps with training modules. This is definitely something that you should be pushing for. So again, you just need about an extra 1,100-ish energy if you're doing everything else above, which is 200 cores daily for all of this stuff. So you would need to, if you didn't do any hoarding, you might need to dip into the 100 cores just for a couple of days to get you there, to get those extra energy. But I think it's absolutely worth it, especially if you need those training modules. Unfortunately, to get to milestone 18, which is 625,000 X coins, you're going to need about 7,600 additional energy. This is why it's in red, because I don't think that you're probably going to get there, and would require a lot of energy hoarding. It's a fair bit of extra coins though, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. But if you are able to do that, or if you want a light spend to get there, that's entirely up to you. My final notes for this event is that it's not a leaderboard event. If some of you caught my data mines video from yesterday, which included Sword Satellite coming back next Monday, not tomorrow, but next Monday, that is going to be the next leaderboard event. This event is pretty easy to accomplish. If you need to, again, I mentioned this already, due to chaos raids, you can try and get your Night Stalkers and Orcus attacks in on Spotlight. Spotlight has some open nodes that you can use any characters at the start, and you need one character at 7 yellow G19, and it requires 5 usages in total over 7 days. This shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, we'll see if Scopely decides to do any fixing related to the chaos raids, because I am super annoyed by how many issues there are with that, whether it's visual or actual, the way that the characters on the raid nodes work, where that if Jean Grey gets back around to her special again, she's applying that debuff again, making the sack somewhat useless. If you don't focus fire these characters down. I'm not a big fan of how the Chaos Raids has rolled out. We'll see in the new week whether or not they decide to make any adjustments, or if anything's changed between now and when this video goes out. We'll see. Anyways, that's going to be the end of this video, everyone. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later. And if you like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and you'll be greatly helping out the channel. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys on the next one.